Hi there, I'm Gabriel Morris. I'm an author of a number of books, including The Mystery of Woman, a book for men which tackles the complex realm of men, women, love, sex, and relationships, and Gabe's Guide to Budget Travel, which is a guidebook of mine that offers some practical advice based on my past 20 plus years of traveling. Now, there's a reason why I mention those two books in particular, which is that in this video I'm going to be weaving together the concepts of men and women in relationships and travel. And so I'll get to that in a few minutes. So the title of this video is Men Who Are Vampires of Feminine Energy. And there's quite a few different concepts that I'm going to be attempting to weave together in the course of this video in order to make some very important and powerful points. So sort of the basic dynamic of masculine and feminine is very often that of the predator and the prey, in a way. Of, you know, just think of the typical dating scene in a club of the men going around, you know, trying to get the women, and the women oftentimes trying to evade them, or not, obviously. But the basic framework is that, you know, men and women both want to connect. Women want to experience masculine energy. Men want to experience feminine energy. But too often men are coming from a place of a disconnect within their own feminine element, and they are seeking to connect with women in order to replace that lack within. And of course both men and women, you know, have this imbalance to various degrees. But it is my personal fundamental view that there is a greater resistance on the part of men to connecting with their inner feminine as opposed to women connecting with their inner masculine. That women are more interested and more willing and more desiring to find that union within, you know, connecting with their more masculine element as opposed to men. And so this sets up a basic imbalance of men, you know, so often trying to fill a void within, of that feelings of love, of inner, you know, oneness and wholeness, by finding those feelings in women. And this is basically a very imbalanced and unhealthy dynamic, because true inner union and satisfaction is never really found as long as you are seeking happiness in whatever form without. And so if it's a matter of making a connection with feminine energy, and if it is always seeking it without, then that is a perpetual quest that is never filled. And in my view, it is really what is wrong with the world, is a masculine disconnect from the feminine that is driving men to do the things that men do, you know, creating wars and you know, overwhelming greed, and you know, most crimes are committed by men, you know, whether it's murder or robbery or rape or whatever. And you know, just that constant quest and hunger for power, for something more, for more women, for more money, and it is never satisfied. And the solution, in my opinion, is to find something within. And it is, you know, it is a lot of denied stuff within, but part of it is the denied feminine within, finding that within in order to find inner wholeness and oneness, so that your happiness is based on a balanced state of being inside yourself, as opposed to finding something in the outer world that is going to finally, you know, satisfy your desires. So that's kind of the basic framework of masculine and feminine as I see it. And so now I get to the travel part. So I made a little list here of some of the things that I've done in my life. I'm 41. I've been traveling off and on since I turned 18, the summer of 1990, when I went to Europe, and I've had a lot of amazing adventures since then. So here's just a short little list. I hitchhiked the entire length of the United Kingdom, from London to Land's End on the southwest corner of England, to John O'Groats at the top of Scotland, across Scotland, over to Ireland, and so the entire length of the UK. I climbed to the peak of Mount Olympus in Greece. I've camped on beaches and in the rainforest of Hawaii for altogether about 5 months. I backpacked alone in Denali National Park, Alaska. I actually hitchhiked on the heels of Chris McCandless in the summer of 1992, a couple of months after him, through part of Canada to Denali National Park, which was ultimately where he died starving in that bus. You know, for people who have seen the movie Into the Wild. I was working in Denali National Park that same summer, just about 30 miles away from him. I backpacked in Grand Tetons National Park, Wyoming, the Marble Mountains of Northern California, the deserts of the Southwest, and many other places. I've been to the Great Pyramids and boated down the Nile River. I've trekked to Annapurna Base Camp, Nepal, in the Himalaya Mountains up to 14,300 feet. I've soaked in remote hot springs in the Himalaya Mountains of northern India in the middle of winter. I fasted for as much as 7 days. I've meditated for up to 8 hours at a time. I've done yoga on the beaches of Greece, the islands of Thailand, on the Ganges River of India, in the Rocky Mountains of Canada, etc. So the point here is not just to brag about cool stuff I've done. So men are constantly trying to do awesome things to impress people, to prove their manhood. To do these sorts of wild and out there types of things to prove your manhood is coming from a place of lack within. It is an effort to appease fears of inadequacy in order to impress yourself and to impress others of what an awesome guy you are. On the other hand, to do things along these lines and just to approach life in general from a place of a spiritual quest in which you are seeking inner knowledge, in which you are seeking to face, embrace, and resolve your fears, as opposed to seeking to prove that you don't have any fear, is two different things entirely. And so the point that I am getting to here is that what men really need to do in order to resolve this imbalance and this issue of being disconnected within from the feminine, from a lot of stuff within, is to have the intention of seeking within and finding within whatever is in there. And so my life over the past 20 plus years of being on a spiritual quest and being a traveler has been about utilizing the outside world for the sake of learning and understanding of myself. Also for the fun and adventure. But life and the spiritual path is very much about intent and what you're intending to do and intending to learn and intending to prove. And if you're trying to prove that you are not afraid, then you are not going to end up discovering very much within. If you are seeking to discover what is within, not knowing what's there, just leaping into the unknown, then there is much to be found and much to be gained from that quest. Now, the other point that I want to make is that is just to show that the spiritual quest that I am living and speaking from is not one of simply reading books and going to workshops and listening to lectures of others to form my personal spiritual outlook, but it is to engage the world, get out there, do strange somewhat crazy things, challenging things, for the challenge, and in order to face those fears within and discover my full potential and power, in order to self-evolve, in order to grow myself. And this is really what the path of the masculine needs to be, in my opinion, is one of shifting perspective from I'm so awesome, I'm the man, I'm so great, and I'm going to do all these things to prove it, versus there's much unknown within. I have inadequacies, I am not at my full potential at this time, and I have fears, and how can I get there? In the course of many of these experiences of mine, I have had much fear. I was robbed on a train in India. I was on a train in India a different time, and I was searched by the police when I had a couple of joints in my backpack. And that was one of the absolutely most terrifying experiences of my life, of imagining, am I about to end up in an Indian jail? And anyone who has read the book Shantaram by Gregory David Roberts knows that that is pretty much just about the last place you want to be on the planet, other than, you know, maybe Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq, is stuck in lost in the system of an Indian jail, possibly with your family not knowing where the hell you are, etc. You know, and then, you know, backpacking alone in the woods, you know, you have fears of bears, and, you know, so a lot of these experiences brought up fear, and that was partly the purpose of the quest. If you're familiar with the Native American Vision Quest, then it is a tradition, an ancient tradition, in which a young boy, but this can be applied to boys and girls, men and women, would be taken by a native elder away from the tribe and put somewhere, whether it was in a cave or in a hole somewhere or just in the woods, and left alone without food and water for several days. And part of the purpose of this was to face your fear within and to come to greater self-knowledge, self-understanding, and self-mastery and strength as a result of facing this fear, rather than seeking to deny that you have any fear. So there you go. That pretty much wraps up what I'm seeking to convey here, is the need for men to get more in touch with whatever is within. And so I would urge the men out there to do some of these things, these types of things, in the spirit of self-growth. Go backpacking in the woods for a week alone. You know, you can carry a week's worth of food on your back, along with your tent and everything else, and, you know, find the silence of nature in the mountains or in the deserts or whatever, and utilize it as an opportunity to find something deeper within, something beyond the current modern day society, which is, you know, at such a shallow level of consciousness, and find something deeper within. Fast for, you know, 3, 5, 7 days. I suggest drinking water and fruit juice. Certainly drink something. You don't want to fast for days without drinking anything, because that can be dangerous. You know, there are so many things that you can do without having to buy an expensive plane ticket, with the spiritual intent of self-knowledge and self-discovery, to propel yourself along the spiritual path and get in touch with something deeper within. And coming back to the point of this video, which is connecting more with the feminine. And I think that you will find that when you discover something deeper within, when you connect with your own deeper inner feelings, then this transforms your whole outlook in the world. And in particular, it will transform your relationships with women and how you connect with women, and take you from a place of trying to connect with women in order to fill a void within, and instead coming from a place of seeking that connection for the purpose of an energy exchange. And I probably should have delved into this earlier in the video for those who didn't stick around to the end. But the important point here in masculine-feminine relationships is to find that ultimate energy exchange in which you are both giving and receiving, in which you're receiving feminine energy and you are giving your masculine energy and feminine, because we all have aspects of masculine and feminine, and as a result creating this loop of energy rather than trying to take something from someone else. And that creates a much more healthy, balanced, dynamic, fulfilling relationship and experience and connecting with someone else, as opposed to coming from a place of lack and of not truly knowing oneself and being disconnected from one's essence within on various levels. So there you go. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care.